housekeeping things we are going to go over, I think. So housekeeping, so thank you all for joining the call first and foremost. Second, this is being recorded more so as a resource for you guys. That way, if you something happens with your connection or you have a class at a different time and you didn't get to see it, you'll have access to that. And so also, I don't have control of your video settings. So if you happen to click to turn your camera on, that is on you. We will be able to see you, but you will still be muted. So just keep that in mind. And then 2, this link will be shared with your professors along with closed captioning. So if you miss something or you want to go back and reference something, you'll have the option to do that. I'll try to get that to your professors as soon as it gets loaded today. So you should have access to that as soon as I can after this. So, all right. Most of you know me. I've been in your classrooms. My name is Brooke Smart. I work in the Center for Professional Development, Career Development and Professional Engagement. We call it the CCDPE. It's just an easier thing to remember. We're located on the 2nd floor of Hardesty Hall on the Home Student Center side. Obviously, right now we're not there. I'm at my home in this little office I've created. So we're currently available for your digital appointments, either over the phone or through Zoom. So we've set up our handshake appointments to have the option of a Zoom room. So you can always use that. And we'll kind of talk about how to get to handshake. I know most of you have heard about how to get there, but we'll just do a quick refresher since it's been a minute. Just to introduce you guys to who is on our team, we have Cassandra Crawford-Sigler. She's the career coach for health sciences and pre-health professions. I know that some of you are pre-med or thinking on going into some kind of health profession after you finish your undergrad. She would be a great resource. She has 25 years of experience in the healthcare professions. And so she would be a great person to get into contact with and answer any of those questions. Obviously, I'm in the middle. I'm the arts and science career coach. A little bit about me for those of you who I haven't met yet. I spent 4 years coaching at TU and then transitioned into teaching the past 5 years at a high school just outside of Tulsa. And now I have transitioned into this role where I really get to help kids make connections between what they want to do and where they want to get to. So it's exciting. And then we also have Chris Wong. He's an engineering and natural sciences career coach. He also has 20 plus years of experience in a variety of different industries related to engineering and things like that. So that's just a little bit about us. I wanted you guys to kind of have an idea about who is working in our office. It's just a small portion of our team, but that is who is really student focused in our office. So if you haven't been in to work with us, I know I've worked with quite a few of you that I've come into contact with for this class so far. But if you haven't, just a little bit about what we do: resumes and cover letters. We help with career exploration and assessments, individual career coaching, internships and job search, which we're going to talk about some more today and what that looks like right now. Interview prep and mock interviews looks a little bit different now that everything is virtual, so we can talk about that as well, what resources you have. Networking has become hugely important. Mentoring is going to be an opportunity you're going to have this summer as well. We host on-campus employer events and interviews, obviously not something that's going on right now, but we are hosting quite a few digital events along with the Business Career Center, so something to keep an eye on Handshake, which we'll talk about. And then we can also talk about employment statistics and salary information. So a little bit of everything to help you kind of get career ready and make sure that you're on the right track in your development as far as that goes. Okay, so I'm going to start off with Handshake. I know most of you are familiar with it, so I thought I would just click through it real fast and then give you a quick tutorial. If you haven't used Handshake before, it is a great resource. It is being constantly updated daily on what new internships are becoming available and also which ones are no longer available, which is kind of a ebb and flow process right now. Some companies are sticking with it and changing them to digital roles. Some of them are dropping it altogether. So we're adjusting as it goes as quickly as we can to what opportunities are out there and what we can get you guys connected with. So Handshake is your go-to place for anything and everything career related, connecting you to the resources that will help you make your career decisions. It's basically our go-to for all of the information and resources we have to put in front of you. So if you have a question or you're looking for something, it's probably there. There's 2 ways you can get to it. They have an app. So if you haven't downloaded the Handshake app, make sure you download the red one. The blue and yellow one is for my side of the office. It will not let you log in. So download the red one. Logging in is super simple. You type in your TU email. It's going to send you an email with a temporary password. Mine went to my junk file, so you have to keep an eye out for that. But outside of that, it's pretty simple. It is built now to where the website and the app look very similar, so that helps as well. And then you can obviously get to Handshake through our website, which is canecareers.com. And we'll get to that in just one second. All right, how to find a job or internship. So if you were on Handshake, you would start with the jobs tab. You can filter it as finely or as broadly as you choose. You can filter by specific job titles, company names. You can also filter based on location if you're looking to stay somewhere. And then you can also filter down to internships as well. So again, like I said, we are constantly adjusting this so it looks different from day to day, just as far as what we get intel on what is still available and what's not. We've also been reaching out to alumni to see what opportunities they have at the companies they're working at. And so we're getting some new things in each day, which I think is a great plus. There's still people out there that are looking for that support and in an internship form. So there's still hope, don't stress. Okay, so let's take a look at the website. I'm gonna switch you over to kingcareers.com. So let me get that pulled up. We're gonna switch over to this one right here. Okay, so I apologize, it's on a different screen. So this is where it takes you. If you type in kingcareers.com, you are looking at our website, I think. Maybe not. Try this again. Okay, hopefully this is working now. Can you guys type in the chat and let me know if you can see the website for King Careers? Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right, so if we are looking at the website, if you scroll down, there's this little section right over here that says sign up for Handshake. Everyone should have an account. There are a few exceptions to that. So if you don't, I'll have my contact information at the end. You can reach out if you have any questions. But if you click on this sign up for Handshake link, it's going to take you into, it's going to ask you to do your single sign-on. So I just use that because it's easy. And it will take you into Handshake. Now for you, it's going to look something like this when you first come in. So you have all of these little tabs that you can click through. Jobs are here. The Career Center is really where anything and everything that we post is going to be. Events is where all of those digital events are going to appear. So we're just going to click through this a little bit so you get an idea. So let's say I click on this jobs tab. Now mine is geared towards whatever happens to be plugged into my profile right now. So I think at this point I'm a freshman psychology student. So it's going to push some things that are somewhat related to that. I can filter for different roles. Let's say I was looking for a public relations role. Okay, and I didn't filter based on anywhere else. You can look and see there's 814 jobs related to public relations. Let's say I wanted an internship, so I click the internship filter. It also gives me that opportunity. It'll tell you unpaid or paid on these listings. It will also tell you, now let's say if I wanted to search Tulsa, how far that narrows down. Okay, so there's 5 jobs that are listed in Tulsa that are internships for public relations. So it's just an easy way to target. The nice thing about Handshake is that we have, it went away. Okay, let's try this again. Is it working now? Okay. All right, so let's go back to this tab. So if I'm starting on the homepage, you have jobs, employers, community, career paths, events, and career center. So if I click on the jobs tab, it's going to push anything towards you that's somewhat related to your degree that you have on Handshake, which is auto-populated based on the school. So whatever you are at school should populate into Handshake because we make a direct load from the school. So let's say I look for, again, public relations is where I started. Okay. If I start with that, no other filters, there's 814 jobs and internships listed for public relations. Now there's no limit on where that job is at, whether it's paid or unpaid, any of that. So I can click on internship if I'm specifically looking for an internship. Now it's down to 178. And then if I want to filter to Tulsa, So now I have 5 different roles in Tulsa that are internships that are related to public relations. So you can filter these down as small as you want or as large as you want. But then at the same time, you can also make it as broad. And I think some of the things you need to keep in mind right now with how things are changing is there are internships on here that we haven't necessarily heard back one way or the other from the employers. If it's something that you're interested in and it doesn't say whether or not it's a virtual employment opportunity or a remote opportunity, it's okay to reach out to those employers and ask, hey, is there an opportunity for this to be a remote job posting? That way you're not limited. I think that's almost the beauty of the situation we're in right now, is that because we can do things remotely, you have more opportunities. You're not limited to where you're living. So if we can get company buy-in on that, I think we're going to see a lot of success in getting those internships really rolled over. Some of the companies have already made that change. Some have not made that decision yet. So it's just going to be a question you have to ask if you don't see it listed. The other benefit to having these postings in Handshake is that it has gone through our office and the employer side, which vets all of those companies. So they are legit companies that have a good purpose. We have some standards, let's say, to hold the companies accountable to make sure that they're abiding by those rules in recruiting our students. So the nice part about Handshake is it's vetted. The drawback to that is sometimes it can be a little bit filtered. So again, you have some other options. LinkedIn has job postings, Indeed.com. Just know that you're going up against a lot more people who are applying for those jobs in those 2 places, and those companies are not vetted. You can also use Google for an internship search, and there's going to be a lot of things that pop up that may not be in Handshake. They may be some more localized companies. Just keep in mind, you're going to have to do some extra vetting. If you find an opportunity that you like, but you're not sure about it, you're welcome to email it to me. I will send it over to our employer side of the office, and they will vet that company for you. I've had a couple come up in the last couple weeks that it's like, company looks legit, but then you start reading some of the reviews from Indeed.com and things like that, and there have been some discrepancies in maybe previous workers in that company and kind of how things were handled. So it's just things to be mindful of. Make sure that you're doing the vetting and it's not just any random company that you're hopping into. If you are looking at, we go back to the homepage, events, there should be events listed, all of the upcoming virtual events. So if you look at the ones that are hosted by TU, like for instance, we are hosting a Netiquette commuting virtually with employers on Wednesday from noon to 1. It's going to be a Zoom session. You can go onto Handshake and sign up for that, and we should have a link for the Zoom coming up in the next couple of days. We're waiting for our webinar capabilities for that, but it's going to be really good. Sarah Brown is who is presenting on that, and she actually runs an etiquette business as part of her side business. She's actually an attorney by trade, and so she does a lot of courses on how to communicate appropriately and things like that. So I think it'll be a really great opportunity for you guys to plug into if you have a chance. If not, I'm sure it will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel as well. The business school is also doing a lot of videos about kind of talking about this time right now and how to handle internships and things like that. So don't be afraid to use some of those extra resources. Their YouTube channel has all of those recorded and posted as well. Okay, I'm going to jump back over to the presentation. Okay. Should be back to the presentation, and then we are going to talk a little bit right now about what professionalism looks like and just how you incorporate that, and then I'll try to tie it back to, as much as I can, kind of how we are using this right now. So this is anything and everything from how you interact with people, which right now is digitally, to, you know, what kind of presence you have online in your platforms and things like that. So we're just going to talk through this. I do have a little short video embedded in here, so hopefully everything all works out. So we start with ethics. So ethics is a moral standard of right and wrong. And really, it comes down that every person has a little bit different view of ethics and what their moral standard is. So we tried to break it down into, there's 3 levels of ethics. You have first, that's the law. Either if it's illegal, then it's unethical. You have the second, which is fairness. So actions and behaviors should be fair to all parties involved. And then the last piece is your conscience. So a behavior that may be legal and fair to others, but still makes others feel uneasy or guilty. In this instance, the behavior is probably unethical. So just trying to give you some feedback, like it's almost like a trust your gut thing. If you don't feel good about it, then it's probably not the right decision. So this is just a fun little video. that is gonna, oh man. Okay, we'll have to skip it. Oh, there it is. All right, let me make sure my volume is turned up so you can hear it.
Trying to lead you down the path of righteousness. I'm going to lead you down the path that rocks. Oh, come on, man. Yeah, come on, man. Yeah. You were saying. That's enough, big guy. I got 3 good reasons why you should just walk away. Number 1. Look at that guy. He's got that sissy funny music, man. All right. That's the part. And that's its rest.
Okay, so just something fun. This movie is one of my favorites, and I think it just gives you an idea of, okay, yes, you have like that inner battle of your shoulder angel and your little shoulder devil, and they always go back and forth, like one's playing one side and one's playing the other. So fighting that inner battle, that's kind of what we mean by your ethics and your conscience. So tying that into your etiquette in terms of a professional, first off, we want to talk about email etiquette, which right now is more important now than ever, and I'm sure you guys are getting bombarded with emails. If it's any consolation, I can totally relate. So have some grace. I think that's the biggest thing. People are working on it. And then I think at a certain point in time, it's okay for you to follow up and say, hey, I just want to reach out. I know it's a crazy time, but things like that. And so it looks a little different, but just things to keep in mind as you're sending emails. So respect, communicate, and use common sense. Using email etiquette helps streamline communication, making our requests and information clear and concise, but give them enough information so that your recipient understands what your message indicates. So the big 5 things are to keep it short. If it's a group email, reply to all. That way everyone is informed. You're not just replying to one person, that only that one person out of that group gets that information. Just keep in mind when you reply to all, that response goes to everyone. So you have to be mindful of what you are saying and how you are replying. Make sure you have a descriptive subject line. That's a big piece. If it looks like a junk mail, I'm sure you guys all know, you're like, yep, I saw another handshake email and it probably went in the trash. I hear that a lot. So just make sure that what you're titling your emails is significant in that sense. Searchable emails, if your title is good and your content is good, it should be easy to find. You can search it in the search tab. That's a big deal. If things get lost, easy to find. And then keep it organized. You can create files, you can create subjects, different ways to store and keep organized emails or things of significance. That's a big plus. It helps a lot. Just in the sense of keeping yourself organized. One big email inbox where you are kind of overwhelmed by everything, it can get really frustrating and you can feel like you lose track of things pretty quickly. So just some etiquette things as far as communicating with employers. You want to make sure that you use your university email. You want to make sure that you use subject lines. I mean, these are kind of common sense. Use a formal salutation. So unless you're invited to use a first name, it is best to address your recipient by his or her title, such as dear, Dr., Mr., Mrs., Ms., or Professor, if you're not sure. Boost your image, a strong email signature, your name, your major, your school, the University of Tulsa, and expected graduation year. Those are all things that help employers kind of filter through, like, hey, this kid sent a really good email, and they're kind of in the range that we're looking for either this internship or this job. It helps a lot. Be polite. Obviously, you don't want to make demands. Do not accuse, and write please and thank you. So right now, I think is the biggest time for you to have grace with people and know that things are going to get missed. And if you can never over communicate right now. I think it's impossible. Outside of please don't email an employer like every day for 2 weeks straight. That would be really bad. But it is okay for you to follow up if you haven't heard anything back. And so I think even for employers right now, even if they don't have an answer for you, I think they're being pretty good about saying, hey, we haven't made a decision on this. Please sit tight, or I'll let you know as soon as I have more information. So be succinct. Make sure you're short and to the point, politely, respectfully, and ask your requests as you have them. Grammar and spell check, I think this is pretty much a given. Most people use that. I apologize, my dogs are going crazy. Hopefully you cannot hear them. Grammar and spell check. Proofread your messages, emails, and proper communications. Do not write them as text messages. That's not putting out a good professional image of who you are and what role you think that you can bring to that company. Okay. All right, so this is a letter that a student sent out as a cover letter for a job after they finished law school. And this is a real letter. It's not, obviously we have taken all the names and things like that out, but this is a real letter that someone who graduated from law school sent out applying for a job as an attorney. So keep in mind that whatever you put out, like this has been filtered around several different organizations. And he led with, "I'm John and my bulldog's name is Tubbs." So things that are significant, right? You want to make sure that you are targeting the important things. You want to make sure that you are aligned with what your goal is, and you want to make sure that you put your best foot forward. Right now, you don't have a chance to necessarily get in front of someone and have your personality sell them. And so you really need to think about what digital things you put in front of them need to be your best, absolute best foot forward. So anyways, that was just a little example of what not to do, but to use that one. So, okay, next. So as internships kind of filter their way through the process right now, we're not really sure how many there's going to be. And so if it ends up being a situation where you don't get a chance to have an internship or gain some kind of practical experience this summer, one of your great options is to do informational interviews. And I find it interesting right now. I don't know about everybody else, but I am a big sports fan. I like to watch, a variety of sports. And right now with nothing on it, it kind of makes it interesting. And I've noticed that there's quite a few professional athletes who are going out and doing interviews with other professionals just to kind of find out the tricks of the trade and different information that they wanted to know, but maybe never had the time to do some research in. And so this could be the time where networking comes in really key, and you are connecting with different people who could potentially help you get closer to your career goals, but maybe not so much with experience, but being able to make those connections and ask those questions. So just kind of the steps of an informational interview so that you have an idea. You're obviously going to do your research on a career or an employer and identify somebody who you want to interview. You're going to prepare, so develop an introduction and some questions. I think the biggest piece of this is just making sure that you do your research. Know who that person is, know what they do, but then ask some questions that you want to know. What is relevant to you? What does a day in the life look like for them? What are some things that they wish they would have known before they got into that role? Or what are some skills that they really wish they would have developed before they got there? That kind of thing. I think those are the details that maybe you don't normally get to ask, but you're going to have an opportunity to. So obviously you're going to initiate contact. You can either call them or email them. It's going to be your best bet. It also would be a time for you to leverage your social media platforms. So if it's somebody that you follow on LinkedIn, you could reach out on LinkedIn. If you don't have a profile, I suggest you get one, or build one, I should say. But also if you are following someone on Instagram or Twitter, it would be a platform where you could reach out to them, send them a direct message and say, hey, this is who I am, this is where I'm at. I would love to get a chance to just pick your brain about some questions I would have and maybe do an informational interview. Would you be interested? And that gives you an opportunity to make that connection and have somebody who can really relate back to that experience. So you're going to conduct your interview, make sure you have a list of questions, make sure you have something to take notes on. And inevitably, they're going to answer a question. It's going to lead to another question for you. So make sure you have the space to add in those extra questions that you get a chance to ask. And then last but not least, follow up. Send a thank you note, stay in contact. It could be a thank you email. It could be a thank you message on whatever platform. If you connected with them on a social media platform, I think it is a big deal to put a shout out to them. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to connect with me, and tag them in it. And speak the language, use the hashtags, whatever you need to do. But I think it's important to show that you are making your digital footprint. You're putting your best foot forward. And in a lot of industries, they say the fortune is in the follow-up. So you doing all this work ahead of time builds an impression. You following up makes you stand out. So just some things to keep in mind. Professional etiquette, we're just going to get into a few things. I would normally kind of deep dive into these topics, but I think for the most part, it's pretty standard. So dress for the occasion. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So when you are having opportunities to get in front of employers, so like, for example, like if you were having a Zoom interview or a Skype interview, whatever that looks like, make sure you're dressing as if you were going to that interview in person. There's been a lot of studies that show that productivity goes up if you get dressed every morning that you're working from home or studying from home and you put your shoes on. So, I mean, make sure you're wearing nice shoes. Get yourself feeling good and feeling ready. I think that's a big deal. Arrive on time. Make sure you're holding yourself accountable. Create a schedule so that you can keep that in mind. Be prompt and be prepared. So if there's any research that you need to do ahead of time, make sure that you're prepared going into those meetings. Be present. So make sure your cell phones are turned off and put away, and then make sure there's any, make sure to turn off any other distractions. So like I can tell you for me preparing for this presentation, I muted the websites that we're using that have a ding. So for instance, my email, anytime a new email comes in, it dings. Things like that, just little stuff like that you can take care of ahead of time. It puts a better foot forward. And then networking, we're gonna talk about this in a minute, but using your social media resources to connect professionals. This may be the summer of networking. I'm not saying that it's not an opportunity for you to get an internship, but if we are being realistic, there's probably gonna be quite a few of you that do not get an internship, but have an opportunity to network and connect with people who are in roles that you would be interested in. So dressing for success, this is just a few things. So first impressions matter. The majority of first impressions are made through a visual appearance. So just making sure that you're ready to go. And then know the dress code. So be knowledgeable to the expected dress code for any event or professional setting. So know what that company culture is like. Obviously my dress for this presentation is different than for my weekly team meetings. You know, we're working from home, everything is a little bit different. Truth be told, you know, this sounds silly, but it's come up quite a bit. Make sure you wear pants to your meeting. It sounds so silly, and the fact that I have to say this out loud, it seems a little bit ridiculous, but you never know what's going to happen. If you have to get up from your chair where you're at your computer and get a tissue or go get a door or whatever happens, and you stand up and, like, for instance, my buddy was telling me the other day, they're on a call and the person that's running the call has a nice shirt on, looks really put together, and they stand up and then she's like, and I'm in my yoga pants because we're working from home. Not to say there's anything wrong with yoga pants, but it's not professional in the sense of you're putting your best foot forward. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You know, things happen, you just never know what's going to go on. For me, I have to worry about the mailman because my dogs go crazy when the mailman comes. So yeah, just things to think about. So next, this is just a little slide. It's kind of talks about the dress for success. You know, make sure that you know what their expectations are. If you're doing an interview, dress nice, dress like the role you want to have. I'm always under the opinion that you want to try to be the best dressed person in the room for an interview. That should be your goal. It doesn't mean that you have to go spend a fortune on it. It just means that you have to be well put together. This gives you some ideas about what's appropriate. So business professional, then there's business casual. There's a little bit of a difference. A lot of it comes down to what kind of jacket you are wearing. Shoes play a big role. Again, put your shoes on in the morning. It'll help you be more productive. Sounds crazy, but it is true. Okay. Okay, so polishing your online presence. We actually did a presentation on this last week on Wednesday. So I borrowed some of the slides from this just to kind of get it in front of you guys and talk about, you know, what are the important things to know when you're going through this stage where you really have to create an online footprint so that employers can get a good idea of who you are and what you're doing and what your goal is. So just an overview where we're gonna have why you should have an online presence, building your personal brand, telling the same story, online resources, and the 5 steps to polish your social media presence. So why should you be present online? So 94% of recruiters are going to search your social media before they hire you, before they even target you as an applicant. And 70% of employers search social media accounts. So your online presence is something that they're going to look for more now more than ever. So just make sure that you're taking the steps to get those things completed. Make sure it's consistent. So we're going to talk about that. Just kind of a funny meme talking about, you know, they're going to find you. They're going to find you one way or the other. And they want to make sure that if you have anything out there that is questionable, you're like, they probably don't need to see that, then it's a good time to take it down. Now's the best time to filter. So 30% of Google searches are recruitment related, and 30% of employers admitted they are less likely to interview a candidate with no online presence. So that means you could be filtered out just because you aren't there. So they don't know anything about you, so they feel like it's not worth taking the risk. It seems crazy, but at the same time, right now it's as close as a depiction of what they can get of what kind of person you are without having an opportunity to talk to you. So just keep that in mind. Okay, building your personal brand. So you really want it to be focused, you want it to be genuine and consistent, and you want it to make an impact. Really, it comes down to what kind of legacy do you want to leave. So that's what we're talking about when you're talking about building your brand online. Like the meme says, you don't simply get to the top of Google. You have to make an effort to do that, okay? Your personal brand needs to be authentic, an authentic manifestation of who you are and amplify what you believe. It's not only a reflection of a series of job functions like marketing, finance, or creative, but also ideals like giving back, thoughtful leadership, or mentorship. It is the legacy you're choosing to create. So it gives you an idea. It's a holistic picture. The same thing we've talked about with your Handshake profiles and your LinkedIn profiles. It needs to give them a holistic approach. It is your resume in the digital form. What are they going to know about you after looking through it? So in the sense of consistency, make sure that they're telling the same story. What you have on your Handshake profile and what you have on your LinkedIn profile and what you have on your resume should all be the same. You want to make sure that it's consistent from one to the next. And also, as you're going through and making updates, make sure that you're doing them to all three places. Okay, your resume, your Handshake, your LinkedIn, all of those things need to be updated. For instance, if you are graduating in May, you need to go through and make sure your resume is updated. You need to make sure that your Handshake is updated, that your LinkedIn is updated. If you change phone numbers, seems silly, but that's an easy mistake. If they can't get a hold of you, you basically lost your opportunity. Same thing with your emails. Make sure that you're using one that you check daily. If you don't, then don't put it on your resume. If you need to create a new email account, that way you have something that's fresh and clean, there's not going to be a lot going to it, that's also an option. Just things to think about. So your online resources, we were talking about your resume and Handshake and LinkedIn. I know that your resume is not an online resource, but you are using the same pieces that are in that resume on those two profiles. And we're also going to talk about how you can leverage your social media platforms. So the 5 steps to polish your social media presence. We're going to kind of go through these in the next few slides. So when you find out that 70% of your employers look at candidate social media profiles, it's a little bit shocking, but it's true. So they are going to look to see what they can find on you. They are looking for something to filter you out. They're going to get a lot of good applications. Don't give them a reason to not have you get an interview. Make sure that what they see is something that is encouraging them to bring you in to talk to you. You want them to want you, okay? Complete your social media profiles, whatever that platform may be that you're using. For us, we recommend that Handshake, your profile is completed, also LinkedIn, but you can use so many other platforms. You have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and there's all of these other ones listed. There's YouTube, Vimeo, all of this other stuff. I don't even know what half these are. All of those are platforms you can leverage with your ability, okay? So these are just some examples. So, LinkedIn, this is a company page, so it's going to look a little bit different as an individual page, but Instagram is the same thing. You're building your brand. You want it to be consistent across all the pages. Pinterest is something you can market if you are a creative person. It can be something that is used as a marketing tool. Twitter, Facebook, Google+, all of those. You want to make sure that you are branding yourself consistently across all platforms. Okay, the next piece is, as you build your LinkedIn, you want to use LinkedIn recommendations. And so what I mean by that is make sure that you complete your profile. You're going to request recommendations from your peers. And so basically you're going to ask for people around you to send in recommendations that you are a quality person with these great traits and you would be a great hire. You need to request those from your peers. It could also be from professors. You're going to endorse other professionals. If there's somebody you know or somebody that you've worked with in a previous internship, endorse them. Tell them that you worked with them. They were a great communicator, a hard worker, whatever those qualities may be that they exude and that they're professional in. You can endorse that as something that they and they should have put out there some kind of skills and things like that. And then from there, you want to build connections, but you also want to make them personal. So don't go out and just add people as they are. Add a personal note to each piece about why you want to connect with them. You're a student, you're looking to build your connections. You would love to know what it looks like a day in the life, or you have some specific questions about their role and how they got there. However you want it to be, there is nothing more flattering to someone that you're reaching out to know that you're genuinely interested in what they're doing and how they got there. They're going to be flattered. They may be a little bit overwhelmed right now, but have some grace. I think that you will see that more often than not, people are excited to share about their experience and their opportunities. So I just use this image. It's really about leveraging your LinkedIn. It is a great professional platform. It gives you a chance to really market your skills and abilities on a professional level. And it also connects you to other professionals. So a lot of, business professionals in their careers are looking at LinkedIn as one of the first places they look to target recruiting. So something that you can use to kind of leverage your resources. Okay, so quality over quantity. Less is more. It's kind of a joke. So that means I have much more. So I got that going for me, which is nice. Kind of a joke, but really you want to leverage what you have. It doesn't mean that you have to have something on every platform. It just means what you do have needs to be quality. And so this is a key for technology. You want to use technology to support your goals rather than letting it use you. Okay, so use technology to support your goals rather than letting it use you. So make sure that you are leveraging whatever platforms you're using to the best of your ability to market yourself to those employers. You can do that through any platform. It just depends on how you are trying to build your brand. Okay, clean house. This is pretty, what would you say? Like a given, I guess. Delete inappropriate content and posts. Be mindful of shared posts. Avoid controversial topics and do not share confidential information. There are obviously things that could be controversial to one person that may not be to another. So there is gray area in some of these, but just keep in mind, if it's an employer and they look at you, if there was any thought in your mind that you felt like that could be a filtering option, you want to try to stay clear of those things. So just a helpful reminder. Be engaging. So when you are online, you have to work a little bit extra hard to be engaging with other people and then also seem excited. So when you're on those calls with employers, or if you're on a Zoom or Skype interview, or even when you're just working on your networking through those different sites, be engaging, draw some attention, build your brand, and then be authentically interested in what other people are doing. And I feel like that will help you make the most connections out of anything else. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about Utulsaconnect. I know I've gone through this with Dr. Bellmaker's class, so we're going to run through this real quick, and then I'll show you the platform just so you have an idea what this looks like. So this is a platform that is based on alumni mentoring, specifically to TU. So I'm going to go through this real quick. There are over 500 alumni looking to become a mentor. Okay, that means 500 people that have graduated from TU or have an invested interest in TU have reached out saying, hey, I'm willing to help out a current student with whatever questions they might have. Some of them have agreed to go have coffee. Obviously, that's theoretical right now. You could do a Zoom event and have a coffee with them. You could also call them and do an informational interview, all of that stuff. Have a conversation about what that looks like, what their day looks like. So the whole premise of this was to try to get current students connected with mentors in their field of interest. Again, it's not just about who you know, but it's about who they know and who those people know. Another thing that comes in mind on those things that you're posting on social media, you remember that you are never that far away from a recruiter or a potential or a future employer. So just be mindful about what you are posting. Yeah, that just came to me right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and share that. Okay, so connections are everything. It's all about who you know, it's all about who they know and how you can get connected. If you can talk to somebody and they figure out, hey, you're interested in these things and I know somebody who's really into that kind of stuff, that connection was not wasted just because it wasn't the perfect person. It now got you connected to that next level who could potentially lead you to that next opportunity. So the alumni offices, their inspiration was connecting students with industry mentors. And wouldn't it be nice to know what a day was like in your future career? I would have loved to have known what it was like as somebody who was in this role before and what they were doing, what the things they had success were, what were the things that they tried and feel like they weren't the most successful on. So things like that, just stuff like whatever kind of feedback you can get, good or bad, it's still going to be information you take in and it's going to help you gear towards your process. So what makes this platform special? It is an opportunity for you to engage with alumni and invested people in TU's community. It's a chance to grow, and in that sense, you are looking for those opportunities to really build your network and then obviously succeed. Hopefully it's going to lead us to some opportunities down the road where maybe it's internship opportunities or job opportunities or making those connections that get you connected with a future employer. Yes, I know it is another platform that I'm throwing at you guys. And for a lot of you, I've been in your class quite a bit, and it's been Handshake and it's been LinkedIn. I know, and it's one more platform, but I do think this is a very targeted audience. They have already said that they are ready and willing to help. So I think it's something we can take advantage of. We're going to kind of walk through that here in just a second. So getting started, you're going to go to Utulsaconnect.com. You'll click join now, get started, start networking. You'll create a profile. And then it's on you to select people to get mentored from. So I'm going to click this next slide. So we're going to Utulsaconnect.com. I'm going to share a different screen. Make sure this works this time. Okay, so you should be on the Utulsa Connect webpage. Does everybody see that on my screen? Not yet. How about now? Hopefully so. Looks good. Okay, perfect. Okay, so you are going to follow on this page. You can click this get started. It's going to continue scrolling and something else will pop up. So join now, or your other option was like start networking. You're going to click that. When we do, you're going to get an option to sign in with any of these or register with an email. I can tell you that I just did with an email. So you would click register with an email. It takes you to this. You're going to fill it out. You have to agree. You have a chance to upload a picture, and you're going to create a profile. I'm going to go ahead and go back and sign in so you can see what it looks like on the inside. Okay, so when you are on the alumni mentoring page, so this Will Deviney, he is the person who runs this site. So if you ever have any questions, he is a great person to reference. Again, it's a pretty simple platform, so I think you'll get the hint of it pretty quick. So you have the option to post. There are different opportunities here. So Will is posting different events that they're doing. They have Facebook Lives. They're doing different things. So he's posting all about that on the homepage. You have a directory, which is going to be a list of all of the people that are in this. It's going to match you to people in specific industries or where you're at or based on what you're looking for. So it just depends on what you're trying to search for. So if I wanted to look at people specific to my location, these are all of the people that are in Tulsa that I could connect with. If I wanted to look at people that are in my industry, it's going to base it on your degree program. If you're looking for people who specifically have said that they are wanting to be a mentor, so all of these are willing to help, and you can kind of check and see what you're interested in doing. So when you're looking for this, if you are looking for something specific like mentoring, so this right now is for me who I'm willing to mentor. And then this is if I'm seeking mentoring, I can check this. So let's say I want to talk to somebody about career advice. It's going to filter that. All of these people are willing to talk to me about career advice. And then I can go through and see if there's anyone that I'm really connected with. Also, you have options to search. You can search up here for something specific. So let's say I wanted to, again, we'll just be consistent, using public relations. Okay. So all of these people have some way or some connection to public relations. It's either listed in their profile or something that they have done before. Again, if they say willing to help, that means that they have already acknowledged that they are willing to help. What Will did say last week on one of the presentations was even if they don't have that listed, some of them signed up before it was an option for them to opt into different options. So you can always send them a message and say, hey, I would really love to talk to you. Is it something you'd be willing to do? And I think most of them would be okay for that. Okay, and then from there, if you are looking for a mentor, so let's say I wanted to collect with Christy Blystone. So I click on that. Okay, I can send her a message. I can also request help, or I can request mentoring. And so depending on what you're looking for, so she said she's willing to mentor on a resume review. You could click on request mentoring and go from there. If I wanted help, she is willing to help with introduction to connections and have a 15-minute conversation with students. So if you just wanted to pick her brain a little bit, it would be an option. Those are different things that you could use. Okay, and so if I get over here into mentoring, it's pretty specific to what we were looking at before. If I wanted to find a mentor, it's going to filter in these people who are matches for me. So I can kind of search through that based on my degree or what I'm in, what they're doing, where I'm working, they're all matched up. You can also look to see if you have requested a mentor, like who you're connected with. So obviously I have not connected with anyone. But I also haven't had any students reach out to me either. So just different things. Alumni jobs. So they have a job board. It's still in the process of being built up a little bit. Their goal is to get Handshake to cross post to this. So you would have the option of using this platform and having the job postings from Handshake post here as well. There are photos that have been uploaded from different events and things like that. There are also some groups that you can join. So I'm in a first generation college student. You can join, there's all kinds of other groups. So there's the colleges, there are different things. If you want to create a group, if there's something that you're looking for that you don't see there, it's an option to do that as well. So different things you can think about. Up here is where you would create a group. Different events that they're hosting. So again, this is our event on Wednesday. This is our event in a couple of weeks. Alumni is having a virtual alumni networking panel, so you can tune into that and see they're bringing in some alumni to talk about different opportunities and things like that. So panels, I think, are always a good option. You get to see some very different perspectives and things like that. So, and you can also use this business directory and search out if there's somebody specific that you're looking for, and then see if there's anybody in that company that has a connection to you. I like this because people have been intentional about adding themselves to it. And so they have opted into that mentoring option. And I think it has opportunity to be really good. I think that right now, the last stats that I heard is there's these 500 people that are waiting for students to ask for them to be a mentor, but they haven't had anybody reach out yet. So don't be shy, ask some questions. You know, now is a great time to network. But that's the biggest thing. So I would encourage you to get on there, fill out your profile, and then reach out to somebody. If there's somebody that has an interesting job, ask them what it's like, how they end up there. I guarantee you most people are in a role it was not something that they thought they would be in. And it was a process or a journey to get there. And so asking what they did and what were the different routes they did to get there, I think all of that will be enlightening, and also just kind of give you some perspective on what that looks like. So I'm going to go back to the presentation. We're almost done. All right. It's this one here. Okay. Let me click over here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put our contact information up there. Again, Cassandra is health sciences or pre-health professions. So if you guys have any questions, if you are pre-med or you're thinking about going into something that would be in the health professions after you graduate, she is a great contact to have. My email is there. It's also my office phone number. And then Chris's email and phone number are there as well. So if there's anything you guys need, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's what we're here for. And that's really, I mean, I know it's a crazy time. I know things that are changing and things are going in waves. So please, you know, if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. If you send an email and you don't hear back, please follow up. I'm doing my best to keep my emails under control, but it does get crazy sometimes. So, you know, if I happen to miss one, I'm really sorry. Just email me again and say, hey, I sent you an email. Did you get it? Do you have any advice? And, you know, I'm happy to help. We'll do the best that we can with what we've got. So with that being said, do you guys have any questions? Now is your chance. If you haven't already, I would suggest that you follow us on social media. I think almost everything is under King Careers now. I think the exception is Facebook will not let us switch our name. So we're still at Hire to Grads. We do right now have a YouTube channel. I think it's going to get filtered under TU's YouTube in the next week or so, to where we have our own playlist from them. So any presentations that we have done will go under our playlist under TU's YouTube channel. So just keep a lookout for that. And then if you guys don't have any questions, I mean, I'll give you a couple more minutes just in case anybody's still typing, but it looks like so far you're good. I am gonna put this survey up here. So if you guys are on your computers, you can hold your phone up to your computer screen. That QR code will just take you to a quick short link. It's the same questions as always, who presented, and then I think there's like 3 questions. If you wouldn't mind to do that for me, I would really appreciate it. You guys have been awesome this semester about it, so thank you so much for the feedback. If there's something that you'd like to hear about, especially right now with everything that's going on, please don't hesitate to put that in the comments. I would love to know what you guys want more information on. We can create content for whatever we need to know, or whatever you'd like to know. All right, you guys are awesome. Thanks for letting me talk to myself on the screen and listen in. If you have any questions, again, please don't hesitate to reach out. Other than that, I hope you have a good day. Thanks for coming to the call. Yeah, Stroud, everyone keep grinding and stay positive. I think that's awesome. Thanks, Thunder. You guys are doing great. Keep up the good work. Finish the semester strong.